Hello everyone, today's question is about a technical challenge. Specifically, how do you tackle a piece that has a slow pace, so an adagio for instance, where the phrase and the music is in 4. However, it's so slow that it actually forces you to subdivide it or almost subdivide it. And then at some point, the line changes and maybe turns into something that is completely subdivided. Well, there's a perfect example for that, which is the beginning of the last movement of Brahms' First Symphony. Hi, welcome back to Conducting Pills. My name is Gianmaria. Griglio. I'm a composer and a conductor. If you're new to the channel, this is all about classical music, conducting, and conducting technique in particular. If you have any question, any doubt, or any suggestion, just leave them down in the comment section. And now, let's go. Let's take a look at this score. First of all, tempo indication is adagio. We're in 4/4. Everything is legato for the first 4 bars. And then we go into a pizzicato. Moreover, on the third bar of the pizzicato, we start with the stringendo, a poco, and then we're back into the original tempo. So how do you approach this from a technical point of view? You have two choices, basically. One, you can subdivide everything, keep everything in 8, at least until a certain point in the accelerando where you have to go into 4, or you can do something in between. We're going to divide this first in the first 4 bars, and then we're going to go on with the pizzicato part. Now, starting with the first 4 bars, obviously if you did everything in 8, pam, pim, pam, pim, it's fairly straightforward. However, what is the risk there? The risk is chopping the line. 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2, which is actually against the music, it's actually against what's written. So you have to find a way in between not to be so obvious in your subdivision. For example, what am I doing here? Technically, I'm staying in 4. However, the subdivisions are still there even if they are very subtle. Let's do it again, but look at this. Look at my wrist. 1 and 2, 3, and pa and p, and sometimes I skip the subdivision completely, and p, click, and this is an option that allows you to keep the legato of this phrase in a very slow tempo. However, you can't do that when you get to the pizzicato because that would become really unclear. Now, of course, the orchestra could do it by themselves. Obviously, any good orchestra can do that by themselves without the need for a conductor. Orpheus Chamber Orchestra is a good example of it. However, if you want to justify your presence on the podium, you don't want to get into the way of the orchestra. So you need to be clear on what your message is. When you get to the pizzicato, you can't keep doing one pum, pim, pum, pim, pum, pim, especially with no pulse, because it becomes really difficult to follow. At the pizzicato, you actually do need to subdivide. Pum, 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 pim, 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 pum, pum. Wow. Now the subdivision is still very subtle. We are in piano after all, and it simply comes from here. Pum, 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 pim, 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 pum, pum, pum. This type of movement. Tricky thing is that this tempo is only there for 2 bars. Then you start having a stringendo poco a poco, and 2 bars later it's going to become impossible to keep it subdivided. So from the stringendo poco a poco, pum, 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 pim, pum, pim, pum, 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 pim, pum, pim, pum, 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 4, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, pum. Basically, you keep it subdivided, pum, pim, but you start reducing the gesture even more. When you have a stringendo, the more you enlarge the gesture, especially if you're driven by a crescendo, the slower it gets, because there's only so much movement that you can do within a large space within the same tempo. So if you want to do an accelerando e stringendo, then you go from 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, until you have to change into either into 2, into 4, or whatever it is. In this case, being in 8, pom, 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 pim, pim, pom, 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 pim, 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 1, 2, 3, 4, and then smaller, 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 arrival. This is what allows you to keep control over the orchestra, keep control over the stringendo, and of course also make the dynamics and the crescendo as you go along. Now, once you get to the tempo starts at the downbeat. So that's your arrival point. 1, 2, 3, 4. Arrival. If you stop here, it will give you an opportunity to subdivide that downbeat, which is the starting point for the second beat. 1, 2, 3, 4. Arrival, subdivision. And so forth. Next section, it's exactly the same thing. When you get to the pizzicato, pom, pim, pom, pim, pom, pim, pom, 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 pim, pom, pim, pom, subdivided. And then you have a stringendo molto, which only lasts 2 bars. Umpa, umpa, umpa. Pim, pim, umpa, pim. This is an example of how you can address these technical problems, which come over and over again in different forms, but when you boil them down, it's always more or less the same thing. The space that you use, the speed of the baton especially, between one pulse and the next, not getting ahead of the sound, so you can't do because otherwise you have no chance to actually do this. And then of course, when you get to something like the pizzicato and the tempo, just a small click of the wrist is enough to keep everybody together. If you have any question or any doubts or any other comments, just leave them down in the comment section. And if you want more information and more videos and more articles, just look on my website. I will see you in the next episode of Conducting Pills. In the meantime, enjoy conducting, be well, and be kind to yourself. Ciao.